To me, if you're going to learn anything, you have to go all in. If you don't, you won't make what you want to achieve. Anyone can learn, and I would encourage all females to learn because it gives you so much more than money too. I think this is what we underestimate. Mindset is priceless. You know, mindset and growing your capability and how you think, how you believe you deserve it.
You don't have to have a financial background. You don't have to be a math genius. There is no difference, I think, in this case, if you are a female or a male person. You can do it. I think everyone can do it.
So what's been the biggest percentage gain in your portfolio?
For me, last November, I made £30,000 in 1 month.
I made 712%.
Wow.
On it in just under 3 months. These results don't come overnight, and it won't come every day or every week, but they do happen if you really educate yourself and you put in the work.
What's one financial lesson that you'd impart to either yourself or your young daughter?
I think
For most of my life, I was told that investing was a man's world. But today, you're going to hear from 2 women who prove that idea wrong. Tracy had no financial background, yet she made a 73% return in 2 years, including a £30,000 in a single month.
I had no financial background at all. I doubled my portfolio last year just through my ISA, as an example. And so now my pension over the last 14 months, I started March last year, is up by about 80%.
Timea lost everything, her health, her marriage and her money, but she rebuilt it from scratch. And just last month, she closed a trade with a profit of 100%.
I was just doing the strategy, following the strategy, and then when you realize that actually you are making money and you are able to make money, that's an incredible feeling. That's really empowering.
In this conversation, we talk about the fears, the mindset shifts, the mistakes, and the wins that come with stepping into a space that you were never told you belonged to, and they succeeded. Timea, Tracy, you're both sitting here today as women defying the odds in a world that hasn't always welcomed you. I'm talking about finance. But I want to go right back. Like, who were you before you were an investor? Let's start with Tracy.
So I grew up in Australia until I was 13. I moved to the UK, started in a corporate job, moved around the world. He did multiple countries, including China and Taiwan and Africa as well, and then moved back to the UK. And I think for me, before I started trade investing, I was doing really well in a corporate job, but decided to leave corporate life and start my own business, and then tried to work through about how to manage my money. And so I found that quite hard because I was making good money, but I didn't know what to do with it. And I found investment mastery.
So you had no background in finance?
No, he was also background, a change backgrounds,
Okay.
but no understanding about finance.
And yet now you build multiple incomes from this. So what made you kind of start? What made you decide to start?
I think there was a few things. I turned 50. I think that's always a pivotal point. It's in your life where you start to question what you're doing. And I also think for me, I started to really understand what my why was. And I think for me, that's what Investment Mastery adored, is I feel there's a bigger purpose, a bigger reason why I wanted to learn about finances for myself, for my family, and to help others. And so I started educating myself. I found you found up on Facebook, and it really resonated about how you could make money for the long term, because this is what I wanted to make sure, is that when I eventually retired, I wasn't retiring in a way that financially I was inadequate, really. And so that was significant change as well as my why.
At what point did you decide I can actually do this?
I think it was about 6 months into the program. I know that sounds like a long time. I think from time to time, even now, I still doubt myself. And I think that's only human, right? 1 month, you'll have a really great month. Next month, you won't have such a good month. And I think, do I really know what I'm doing, even though I've learned all the strategies? But I think that self-doubt has become less as I've learned more and more and grown more and more. To me, in a funny way, it's not about the money. It's about me as a human being that I've learned the most about. And that's where I've probably grown the most over the last 2.5 years.
That's really interesting. But you have made money, just to be...
I've made lots of money.
Well, we're talking about that in a moment. Timea, your journey sounds like really you started from zero.
Yes.
You know, we're talking about rebuilding from heartbreak, even illness. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so originally I come from a very traditional background where the man was seen more like the provider, and the women took on other roles, of course. So naturally, I carried this dynamic into my long-term marriage. And even though from the outside it may have seemed that I lived the life of a princess, it was a very different thing altogether. Um, I think being provided for has a very high personal and emotional cost on it. And so when the marriage ended, I really had to find a way to find my way around in life financially, because I left everything behind as it was. And this is how I met investment mastery, actually, and how I really wanted to educate myself on finances. I had no background regarding that before.
Is that, do you think that's quite normal? That women don't have the finances. They say that it's the husband, and then suddenly.
I think my fear of getting myself into the same situation, to being dependent on someone else, just was more scary than starting from scratch at a ripe age and do it on my own. Even if I fail, at least I tried. Because of course you get the chance to get back into the same routine, to the same kind of lifestyle, but I just said no to it. I did not want to. I couldn't.
Makes sense. There is this stereotype, right? I'm just going to say it, that women aren't naturally good with money, that they're kind of emotional spenders. Have you ever believed that about yourselves at any point? Let's start with you, Tracy.
I think I was naive about money. I pretty much earned a reasonable salary and I was in corporate life, and I would take the money and I'd spend it. So it was probably a little bit linked to emotion, and I didn't really think about the long-term future and what I needed to do and how I needed to manage my money.
Did you save at all? Or you just spent?
A little bit, but predominantly we didn't even know what to do with it. So I did know a little bit about ISAs, so I set up an ISA, but I pretty much bought low, it went up, and then it went back down again, and it was at the same price as I bought it because I didn't know what to do with it. It was just the lack of education. Awesome. Yeah, exactly. I didn't know anything about cryptos. So for me, it was almost like starting from scratch. And I think the whole emotional piece, it was probably more for me a bit of a lack of education. I really didn't know what to do about it. I didn't know what to do with my money. I didn't know what to do long term. And so I wouldn't necessarily say I was emotional, but I also would say that I was probably naive.
Well, what would you say? Like, maybe this was in your marriage, but were you that person who, what do you think of the stereotype of the women being like spenders?
I think partially it is true, but I wasn't a careless spender. I wasn't that kind of person who just threw money at everything. But for me, money had no value at all. It was just something I used to buy things with it. I did not feel any fear or attachment to it, nothing. It was always there. And of course, when you lose it, when it's not there, but you need it to be able to live your life, that's when your feet start touch the ground. And then you just sit down and say like, okay, what are my options? And I think for me, it was also very important because I see many women who stay in a difficult situation just because they do not see a way out of it. And I think I would encourage everyone to learn about finances, to do your own finances, because it empowers you and gives you really the feeling of you can do it, you can succeed. A lot of women don't know what to do, so they stay in a bad relationship or the situation they can't see the way out of.
So do you think that they should do that even if they're provided for?
I think definitely everyone should do that. You should educate yourself because it changes your mindset. It gives you more confidence and you get out of that dependent situation. You start to actually believe in yourself. You start to believe that you deserve certain things in life and that you can do it on your own.
I mean, this all makes sense to me. But do you not think, and this is to any one of you really, that I know that the roles are getting very mixed nowadays, but there's this traditional, and that's what it is, traditional, right? It's history. But the man and the woman, that the woman wants to be protected. and therefore cared for and provided for.
Yes.
But you still think, despite that, they should still learn this.
Yes, I do. Since I'm still in the process, of course, sometimes I do think, because I tend to slip back where I feel I would love that protection, I would love that caring for. But on the other hand, I think, I'm not saying that a woman should empower themselves to the point when they feel like, I'm going to leave my relationship. They should just be financially literate, because I think that's very important. And it doesn't mean that you have to get above your husband or power over your husband. I think it just changes your mindset, changes your character. And I think you can be even a better partner with your partner when you know more things about this subject.
Nice. I'm going to ask you a question, Tracy. I heard this. I heard that you woke up at 5 a.m. to start trading the markets.
Yeah.
That's serious discipline.
Yeah, I think at the start, particularly for me, it was making a big shift in my mindset, my behavior. And so I was working full time. And to me, the commitment that I had to myself was that I would learn and grow. And so I get up at 5 a.m., do the first hour investment mastery, and if you related to...
Hold on, do you still do that?
Not at the moment, no. I now give myself the liberty to stay until about 6:30. But back then, it was, how do I fit all this in my life? I have to make compromise, I have to make choices. And one of the ones that I made was 5 a.m. And also one of the ones I made was that I would attend every Q&A, every webinar, every workshop. I still do all the workshops, still do most of the Q&As, still do...
That's the commitment you made to yourself.
Yeah, because to me...
Consciously.
Yeah, because to me, if you want to learn anything, you have to go all in. If you don't, you won't make what you want to achieve. And to me, you has to be committed. And I still do all the workshops now, and I've been in the club, 2.5, 3 years now. And for me, I always learn something new, and croon as well, which obviously is a different role. But I'd also learn something new. Keith will explain something differently that I haven't heard before. Amy will say something, you'll say something. So Dennis will say something, and I'll be, I hadn't picked up that point before. So there's always something I can learn. And I think part of that is humility, right? Each time trying to go in.
Yeah, because most people say, well, I've been on the workshop, so I don't need to go again. I'm like, well, what?
No.
Whereas you actually know that you're going to always pick...
Oh, I do. And I have this document, it's about now 100 pages of everything, all the strategies. And if I pick up something new, I put it in there. And it's almost like my Bible of trading, investing. And I go back to it, and something I learned a couple of days ago, I put it in there. So there's always something you grow in. There's always something you're ready to hear. That's the big difference for me. I found at the start, I was just so overwhelmed. And all of a sudden, when you sit back and you just listen and learn, you'll learn something new at that point that you weren't ready to hear the last time or the time before.
Yeah.
So for me, it's been the growth in the journey to be open to what someone wants to teach you.
Are you part of the 5 a.m. club?
No, not yet. But sounds very interesting.
Thinking that you need to get up at 5 in the morning to learn this, you absolutely don't, right? So what are your hours that you keep for trading and investing?
At the beginning, I must admit, it was a year ago, now almost a year ago, I put in a lot of time. I think I just needed that jump start to feel everything, and I just was really eager to learn. I am still. But as Tracy says, after a while, you have, I think, a basic knowledge.
Yeah.
And why I also would never miss a workshop, even when my poor father was in a hospital, I was walking around with my laptop there, is because, as she says, first of all, at the beginning, you are over-flooded with information. You sit there and you think, I can't do this. I can't possibly do this. This is too much. The second time is easier. And the third time, you have more like a peace of mind, and pieces fall into place, and so on. Or you just pick up on something that didn't vibrate with you the first time so well. So I find all these webinars, Q&As, and workshops really useful.
But is because it is interesting, because you made a conscious commitment. Did you make a conscious commitment as well, or you've discovered that, oh, I need to be on all the workshops, I need to go on all the Q&As? Or is that something you went in right from the beginning going?
I'm not sure if it was a need that I said it in my mind, I need to do it. I think it was more like I enjoyed it so much. It wasn't, boring, or it's always so the whole environment is just so great, and it creates this eagerness in you. It's not like, I was born eager for learning about finances. It's just,
No, because normally, when you talk about finances, do you not think boring,
Yeah.
somebody else, numbers, etc.?
definitely,
You're actually saying it's exciting.
it is exciting,
But-
and yeah, I love to do this, and I would almost, I think I wouldn't be able to sleep calmly if I said like, oh, I'm not gonna do this workshop. I can't, even if I miss 5 minutes here or 10 minutes there, but I just do it whenever I can. It's I think investment mastery, I don't know any other school, of course, but makes it so interesting and so easy to follow, and you just pick up on things, as Tracy says. So if you put in the time, the energy, the effort, I think you cannot not succeed.
Okay, well, we're going to come to the results. I'm going to start with you, Tracy. So what's been the biggest percentage gain in your portfolio?
So for me, last November, I made £30,000 in 1 month. So that increased my portfolio by about 15%. That's fantastic. Yeah, it's amazing. And that was in investing, fine enough, not even in trading.
Wow, right.
So
It's great.
to me, people always get caught up in you must learn all this and grow. But if you just think about even investing and how much money you can make month by month, I mean, I doubled my portfolio last year just through my ISA as an example. So it's free. Tax-free, exactly. And then my pension, I started. So the way I did this was invested my ISA, worked on that, then decided to do my pension. So I've almost done it in bits and pieces, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
As I've got more educated.
Of course it does. But what's so great about this, that every single one of these, it was always, every single time, tax-free.
Yeah. And so then my pension over the last 14 months, I started March last year, is up by about 80%. You don't get those returns through a normal financial planning, do you? Through a normal pension.
Well, maybe over 15 years, right?
And I think that's money that now is for my future, for my family's future. So for me, that's something I'll be always thankful for. The basics that I've learned, now I'm applying to other financial institute instruments, like, for instance, the pension, that it's almost like you continue to grow, you continue to look for more money, you continue to invest in different ways.
Those are credible results. Yeah. So most people would say, oh, well, she must be from finance. Is that true?
No, I had no financial background at all. I knew a little bit about the balance sheet working in corporate life, but no, other than that, I mean, for me, when I was younger and actually had been married, I relinquished all the responsibility to my husband. So I had no financial, but like you were saying before.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I had no financial responsibility. I just accepted. I was working really hard. We had money coming to the bank. I didn't realize. And then, unfortunately, my husband embezzled all the money, so I had nothing.
Yeah, I was about to say, I wonder what happened there. Because sometimes you leave it up to the husband and they do a good job, but then the marriage might break down or whatever. But sometimes they do a terrible job. So either way, it does make sense, does it not? That, like you were saying, either way, it makes sense for you to know at least the basics.
Yeah.
I think even more, probably. Oh, really? So that's...
Yeah, so I started with zero when I moved pretty much to the UK.
Wow, didn't know that.
And start over again. And I think that was one of the impetus, Paul, you're talking before about, of taking responsibility, not leaving it to someone else, not leaving it to financial institutions, not leaving it to my ex-husband. It was my responsibility. And I think that was the start of my education. And I did get better over time. I think, as I said, in my 50s is where it became even more important, because I realized that I wasn't using my assets in the right way, and that I eventually would retire and not have the money and the things I wanted to do. So
I like what you said. So my responsibility, it is my responsibility. I wonder how many women out there think that way. It's my responsibility. I know that now, because of it, divorce rates are up. I mean, they're over 50% now. So a lot of women are now turning. I mean, when we started teaching 21 years ago, there was like this one woman there that was like forced along by a man. Now it's literally like almost 50-50. So it's really changed, because women are, for whatever reason, but one of them is building a nest egg for themselves and their kids.
Yeah.
If the husband's not around or the partner's not around. Really, really interesting. But by the way, which strategies did you use?
a few, value cost averaging, obviously.
Value cost
Averaging, yeah. The cryptos, CCOs, more perhaps, control momentum.
Yep.
I also are now trading as well, which is a different skill. and a different mindset, funnily enough. I'm learning a lot about my mindset through charity.
Yeah.
Almost makes you focus even more on how you think, how you operate, how you view yourself, how you view the market. I think the Tom's the throwback to me about whether you deserve it. It almost highlights your mindset even more so than investing in my mind.
It's just really interesting because I'm going to be talking tomorrow. I'm going to have a section on, whether you deserve it, because I think a lot of people don't, being worthy and deserving. So I think that's a really important topic.
Very important.
Okay, Timea, what have your results been?
I think one of my very significant result was Hedera, H-bar. I made 712% on it in just under 3 months. Actually, it was an investment, and I think I was like 4 months in the club at the time. And it was a result that for me was very significant in the sense that it gave me the confidence that I desperately needed at that time, because I was still very unsure and doubting if I can really succeed in this field. So these results don't come overnight, and it won't come every day or every week, but they do happen if you really educate yourself and you put in the work.
That's so true. Even the way she said it, right? So they do come, but it's not something that's going to like happen all the time.
No.
So they're highlighting it, really, but they do, But you have to be in the game,
Yes,
to win it.
Yes.
And that's really important. Okay, anything else you'd like to discuss on the results? I think that's pretty impressive.
This was an investment, and then I actually, contrarian momentum, I really liked that strategy. Last year, October, the markets were moving very nicely, and I thought like, okay, I'm gonna try it. I invested approximately 10,000, a bit less. And in about 5 weeks, it wasn't fully 6 weeks, my portfolio was $40,000. And at the time, I was quite nervous about it. So I wasn't even looking at the numbers. I was just really focusing on the strategy because I was 5 months into the club. And then just one morning I woke up and I just saw that it's close to 40,000. I was like, oh my God, what's happening? But these results are, I think, I would love to inspire every woman to do these things because
I'm sure you are by the people watching, right?
yeah.
But hey, just hold that thought. Don't lose that thought. But there's a couple of truth bombs that you are. One of them is that if you look, I remember in my day trading days, intra-trading days, I had a modular screen, which means that you could move stuff out so you couldn't see it. And what I moved out was the results.
Yeah.
Because if you're looking at that, you get either too excited, oh, plus 4,000, plus 5,000, oh, I'm going to take my profit. Then it goes up to 15,000. So even or the other way around, even worse, mine is, it flashes red. So I got rid of that and I just focused on the percentages, and that has less emotion.
Yes.
So you're focusing more on the strategy rather than the results.
Yes, so I just set up the alarms, and then I got an alarm that I had to do the next step, and I did the next step. I didn't really want to look at the numbers either. First of all, I think at that time as well, especially, I didn't treat money like money. So while some of the members mentioned, I started trading like demo trading, and I used then in real money $10 or something like that. For me, I wasn't emotionally attached to money, even though I knew it was important now for me. So for me, the numbers didn't matter, just like never ever before. So I was just doing the strategy, following the strategy. And then when you realize that actually you are making money and you are able to make money, that's an incredible feeling. That's really empowering.
I mean, these are both big wins, right? And I mean, that's only some of them that we're discussing. What do you think that you're doing differently now versus the woman who didn't know about money?
I do everything differently. I think back then I didn't even think about money as money. It was just a means for living. Now I consciously think about my spendings or the price of things, and I also, even though I have much less, of course, than back then, I,
at the moment?
at the moment, yes, I feel so much more powerful through the fact that I am creating this. I am making it reality. I am turning it into something that I never thought I would be able to. It never even crossed my mind that I would be busy with money and numbers and finances. Never.
What about you? What are you doing differently now?
I think there's a lot. I think when you make more money, I think you also can enjoy it a lot more. So I am, for instance, flying business class to Australia. I am enjoying 3 weeks of my family. I am last year, the year before last, spent 2 months in Australia. All these things that mean something to me, and to celebrate my wins and enjoy it because I know I've made enough money.
Do you even enjoy? Are you saying you enjoy it even more because you made it yourself?
So I made it myself, and I think because I've made it through a means that's not normal. Does that make sense? Corporate life was normal work. This is doing something by yourself within the community, but by yourself a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And for me, it's down to me. It's not down to a company paying me, if that makes
Yes,
sense.
I say it does make sense.
And so therefore I feel more in control. And therefore when I make it, it makes me almost feel like I deserve it even more because it's down to me. Whether I'm successful or not, it's down to me. It's not down to a company paying me every month the same amount. And so for me, I've really tried to, in the last 6 to 12 months, to enjoy it more. Where before, I was always worried when I spent, I wouldn't have enough money the next month or the month after. Now I don't feel that at all. I feel that I deserve it. I feel money's going to come in. I feel more relaxed about money. I feel like I'm starting to save towards my retirement. I feel like my family will have more money. I feel like I can share more of my money with people, with charities, all the things that mean something to me than before. I was a lot more worried about money.
So you just touched on it. It sounds like you're getting a lot more out of it, not just about the money. So let me ask both of you. We'll start with you, Timea. So obviously you're learning the strategies, VCA, CCA, control momentum, etc., and so forth. But what else have the clubs taught you?
The club actually and the community is priceless. I think that's the most important part of this whole school, if I can call it a school. It changes you because of the members are amazing people. It changes you in ways because your mindset, and we keep mentioning mindset, I know, but it is so true that you develop not just with finances, you develop as a person. Your mindset changes. You go through more phases that you never thought you would go through, because you realize through trading and investing, especially trading, as you also mentioned, you have to have the right mindset. Otherwise, you will not succeed. And every day when you wake up, you realize you made a mistake, and usually it comes down to an emotion that just snuck in there. And if you have any doubts, any problems, anything like that, you always have the community behind you who will always support you, who will always message you, how are you doing today? Have you succeeded with this? Or they keep you accountable, which is also very important. So I think the community gives so much support, also just help in general, that the value of that is really priceless. I can't say it differently. I'm sorry.
Right, thank you. And what about you? I mean, you touched on that before already, but what else have the clubs taught you?
To believe in myself. I think that's the one thing. I've struggled with confidence in my life quite a lot, about am I good enough? Do I know enough? Can I help enough? All the things that I think have gone through my mind. And for me, a belief in myself is a thing that's changed. And on the back of that is I deserve it. And on the back of that is why I'm doing this and the importance of why. And I've not seen that in any other education environment. I see it in small pieces, but not to the level that we work on at Investment Mastery. For me, we really hone in, and that's been a significant difference for me. So mindset would be the number one. Timmy has also mentioned about community. I mean, I've got some great friends out of this, some friends that always will be my friends, and some people that also will say the hard stuff to me, which is what you want in life, and the good stuff. I think for me, the final would be too is being about giving back. I think being able to crew, being able to teach others, being able to help with Q&As, to me has been a significant step forward in my confidence again. You sometimes get on there and someone will ask a question, I think, well, do I know the answer? And you realise you do. And if not, you realise you just say, oh God, look into that, or I'll find another way, or someone on the call can answer, right?
Yeah.
So I think, again, coming back to my confidence, every time I've almost got to the stage of feeling comfortable, I've looked for the next possibility of pushing myself out of my comfort zone. And to me, that means I've grown as a person. It's not even related to finances. I think I'm a lot more confident as a human being. And one of the contributing factors is investment mastery.
I like what you said there about friends, because normally people, their friends are the people they grew up with, and by chance you went to school with them and those are your friends, but that doesn't mean they're good for you.
No.
So here you actually choose your friends, which is great. Okay, next part is really interesting. Do you think that every woman can become an investor? Do you think that?
I do. I do truly believe that. I'm not saying that it will just every woman is an investor just because she's born as a woman, but I think everybody, you don't have to have a financial background. You don't have to be a math genius. These are basically rules and strategies that we follow. And I'm not saying that it's easy, always easy. It's simple, not easy. But if you have the personality traits, let's say, you really consistent and you want to put in the work and you follow through, there is no difference, I think, in this case, if you are a female or a male person. You will be able to book the results that you want to. And I think it's just up to you how far you are willing to go with this. Like if you are okay with less or if you really want to do more, but you can do it. I think everyone can do it.
Nice. What do you think?
I think everyone should do it. Yeah. But I think females generally are sometimes behind the eight ball, are they? If we look at how much they earn from the pension perspective, a lot of the time they're less. If you look at the rates, generally their income is less than men. If we look at all the statistics, to me, this gives you an ability to have a lot more control, responsibility, freedom. So I would encourage all females to learn and grow. And as Timea would say,
They can, but
yeah, I do. I think they can. I mean, I'm not being disrespectful to myself, but I'm not special. I'm just a normal person who's educated themselves and worked really hard at that. Anyone can do that. You don't need a Bachelor of Education or whatever to do that. Anyone can learn. And I would encourage all females to learn, because it gives you so much more than money too. I think this is what we underestimate. Mindset is priceless. Mindset and growing your capability and how you think, how you believe you deserve it. Whilst the money is important, to me, that's a really key outcome for me. And I think every female needs to go on that journey to help themselves grow.
this idea of financial independence and financial control, is it just for the privileged who already have money, or can anyone do it if they have the right mindset?
I think everyone can do it. I had an interesting discussion with a friend of mine who is, let's call it, less privileged. And I could feel that the mindset was wrong there, because she truly believed, and that was the problem, that she cannot get out of that situation. She's unable, she doesn't have the financial means to start with, and other limiting beliefs that she had in her mind. And I tried to explain certain areas, but I think the important thing to understand here is that you do not need to be privileged. I came with nothing basically into this very little amount of money. You don't need hundreds of thousands of dollars or euros or whatever currency to succeed and make money. I think the very important thing is just to take the first step, to start on this journey if you want to change your life, and it will happen, no matter if you start with €100 or €50 or €10 or just demo trading. So I think it's definitely not only for the privileged people. It is, I think, comes down much more to mindset, nothing else. If you believe in yourself, if you want to do this and you put in the work, the time, you will succeed. It's for everyone.
My mentor and good friend, the great T. Harbecker, always said that It doesn't matter if you have £1 or whether you have £1 million. You have to start. It's starting.
Yes.
You have to start.
Yes.
Get those habits going. And in fact, in a way, you want to start with small amounts of money. Can you imagine putting $1 million in and making some rookie mistakes? The demo account.
Yeah. For me too, when I was first learning true momentum, I started with $100 and just practiced, right? So I was making 80p or whatever, 80 cents. But it was the habit of learning. It wasn't the money, right? So then obviously I put more and more money in, and I put substantial money. And I remember you and I talked about about a year ago about putting more money into cryptos, and you're challenging me, right? And you're like, do you believe in cryptos? I was like, yeah. And then I hadn't put that much money in. And then I went home and I thought about it a lot. And I put more money in because I felt that I was underplaying where I could go to in the future. So I am in a lucky place. I have money, but I don't think it's just about that. To me, this is about learning as you go and growing as you go. So it's not about being privileged or not. I know I started with small amounts, grew and added more amounts in, and then grew and added more amounts in, again, outside of my comfort zone. To me, that's the key, rather than worrying about whether we're privileged or not. To me, that's not that important, because I just feel anyone can do this. It may take someone 20 years. It may take me 5 years, but that doesn't matter. I mean, amazing learning in 20 years to become potentially a millionaire. Someone becomes a millionaire, which you can do with this. And as we've talked about for compounding, the power of compounding, I think, is amazing. If you make 100, then you invest that. If you make another 100, you invest that. The pot grows really quite quickly. I think.
Well, prior this time next year, you'll be there. That's what we're sending, right? Yeah. Okay. So, if you had a daughter, right, or spoke to your younger self,
Yeah.
what's one financial lesson that you'd impart to either yourself or your young daughter?
For me, it would be about valuing myself more and starting younger. I think I didn't have the education, the understanding, the importance of what money could do for me back then. It was very much I got the money and I spent it, even when I was young. I think then when my parents got divorced and my mum passed away, the value of money became even more important, because I realized I had nothing. I had to rely on other people. So if I go back to then, I would have said, make some stronger financial decisions. For instance, I won a car. I was at university and I won a car, but $1 Australian dollar ticket, raffle ticket, and I won a car. And that's amazing, right? University have a great new car. Why didn't I sell it, invest it? Right? Now let's do that, right?
I don't think any student would have done that.
No, but you know how now you think back and you think, why wasn't I thinking so much more longer term, rather than driving this brand new car, which I couldn't afford the insurance? I had to sell my other car to actually pay for the insurance.
Because you didn't know.
I didn't know, right? So for me, I think it's about thinking about this in a longer term perspective around how you can get yourself financially free, financially independent. And I wish I had learned that a lot younger, but I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready now.
I really like what you said before, from a previous question, where you said it doesn't mean matter how long it takes. Sometimes it can take longer. And I wonder whether your friend, for example, is thinking just in, she said, well, I'm here and I won't be able to get here. Yeah, but over time you will.
Yes.
So start. And every year that well, anyway, let's go back to the question. So I want to talk to your friend now.
I tried a few times.
Yeah, no, but sometimes, yeah. So coming back to your younger self or your young daughter, what would you say?
I think if I had a daughter or my younger self, I would, let's say in my parents' place, I would definitely, absolutely prioritize financial education, and not really just like they should go into the finances in any way, but just to have a basic understanding what this is about, and because this does give you, and the child would be, I would love to, my goal would be to grow, like help my children to become independent persons who are really powerful thinkers, and they can actually realize that they can create the life they want to create. If they believe in it, they can just create the life they want to.
And when somebody's listening to that, they just go, create the life that you want, etc. But do you really believe that?
I do believe that. I wish I was younger, so I definitely would tell this to my younger self. But I think you can, if we look at it like, from the financial point of view, with time and with the power of compounding, with the power of mindset. If you get yourself out of a victim mindset and you just say like, okay, this is my responsibility, and if I just stand up for myself from now on, then you can do it. You can.
I'm glad you said that. So this isn't just the power of my mind visualizing and it all
No.
starts raining money. This is just about you saying, I can do this and doing it.
And you have to take action, definitely.
Thing with particularly females is you've got nothing to lose, right? Learning this, I really believe every female has the opportunity to be financially independent, and it doesn't negate about being married or being with a partner. That to me brings you up and you're both even, right? So to have the freedom and the capacity to learn and grow in this area, to me, is a fundamental need for anyone, but particularly
You just said something really interesting. You've got nothing to lose. That's really interesting because, of course, the number one fear that people have is losing the money. But you're saying, well, you've got nothing to lose. So how do you reconcile that?
Because if you look at a lot of the strategies, particularly VCA, I've not lost anything.
No, I know.
So they cost average, and you just keep investing as long as you choose the right companies, which is what we're educated about.
And immediately, as soon as we say that, somebody listening is going, yeah, but what if you don't?
But I think that's true. But if you look at the companies, a Tesla and Nvidia,
Google,
Amazon, the big ones.
if they start to fall, we've got bigger problems.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah. So for me, it's almost like a no-brainer. I think trading is a separate skill that you do need to manage your risks slightly different. But to me, if you start with investing, there's not a lot to lose, right? You put a small amount of money in, you learn, you grow, and like I've done, put more and more in. Got nothing to lose. And I just think it's amazing the amount of females that have joined Investment Mastery, but golly, we needed to be a lot higher globally, don't we? More, we then need to be educated, need to understand the importance and have the freedom and the choices to do what they want with their own money.
That is why we're creating a movement.
No, it's a wonderful movie.
Yeah.
I
So
think
simple
Yeah.
and safe trading strategies in every home.
Yes, and I think women who are listening to it and just have the slightest movement in their heart that, yeah, this might be something, I would recommend to them not to discourage yourselves, but take an action. And as Tracy said, you have nothing to lose in the sense, if you don't have money or if you don't want to put in the money, just start doing it in demo with a demo account, and then you build up the confidence, you will see your results, and you have nothing to lose. Literally, you have nothing to lose. You can just win with this. You just win.
You've got nothing to lose. Let's leave it at that because I thought it was awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.